Right here on the Radio Rumble, the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Justin Greenberg, and what do we hear in the background? Oh, this is John Williams' score from Jurassic Park, and of course I'm playing this because my good friend Addison is here.
Yes.
Dino DNA himself in the house.
Dinosaurs.
He's a staple here at WHPC, does the Morning Madhouse. That's pretty much it right now, right? You don't do any Nassau mixes or nothing?
Thinking about bringing back a wrestling show, but that's extremely riveting here.
Well, we will be doing a wrestling show today. You know, today is day one of WrestleMania. I decided, Addison, he's the wrestling guru around here, so we're going to discuss some old school wrestling, some modern wrestling. We'll break down tonight and tomorrow night's WrestleMania 39 card. I can't believe we're at WrestleMania 39. Insane to think. The first Mania I ever watched live was WrestleMania 12. This was back before Addison was born in 1996.
Yep.
Headlined by Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart in an Iron Man match. What was your first WrestleMania that you ever saw live? Well, and by live, I mean like watching it through pay-per-view.
26.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't get pay-per-view as a kid because my mom had a business number for the house.
Yeah.
So for some reason, that was a big no-no, so I couldn't watch 25. So I had to wait for my friend to order it the following year at his house.
What year were you born again?
99.
99.
I didn't become a fan until 2008.
Yeah, because 26 was what, 2010, 2011?
Yeah, it was 2010.
2010. Yeah, I was a fan when I was around 7 years old. I started in around 95, and we were big into wrestling until around 97, and then I started to discover real sports, and I was like, oh, wrestling, that's lame as hell. And then I remember being in a Kmart and seeing a lunchbox for Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I remember thinking, the Ringmaster? Like, this is who's famous in wrestling now? Oh, my God, this show must suck. But then all the cool kids in school were doing the DX, suck it, chop, and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of cool. And then I became invested again for my second run of wrestling, starting in 99. And that lasted till around 2001. I tapped out around then. I think the whole invasion angle that went down when WCW was purchased by WWE, I was not a fan of how that was all handled. People like The Rock were pretty much gone at that point. He was, filming movies. Austin turned into a bad guy. So I really wasn't into wrestling. And then I've been on and off since then. I was big into it in 2004, and then I sort of got into it and have been into it since around 2007, that Royal Rumble with HBK and Undertaker at the end of it. I was fully invested in that, and I've been a fan ever since. I'm never going to stop watching. I love what Peacock, the app, has done. Getting all these old videos that you can watch, WCW and ECW. Unfortunately, a lot of it is censored, which I'm not a fan of. But, if you're a fan of wrestling and maybe you kind of fell off at one point in your life, I think now is the time to sort of get back into it. There's a lot of options out there. Of course, WrestleMania being tonight and tomorrow night. And then, like I said, you don't have to pay for pay-per-views now. You just have the Peacock app. You pay $4 or $5 a month, and you get access to every single pay-per-view.
The whole archive.
And all the archives of all the old pay-per-views, Monday Night Raws, Monday Night Nitros, SmackDowns, all that stuff is there. Documentaries. There's a lot of content there. I'm just talking stuff dating back to the 60s and 70s. If you want to see guys like Bruno Sammartino and Vern Gagne, like all that stuff's there as well. So there's a lot. I mean, we're not sponsored by Peacock, but that's one of my go-to apps. I'm constantly watching old Nitros and whatnot. But we're going to be heavily focused for sure on pro wrestling on this edition of the Radio Rumble. I did have a movie review. Let's just quickly get it out of the way. I saw the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I was shocked that it was 1A being released. I don't know if this had to do maybe with Stranger Things sort of resurging the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a dead property. It was very big in the 80s. They tried to do a movie in the early 2000s, which was just horrendous. And then it sort of died, and then Stranger Things sort of brought it back. This movie was so much fun. When I was watching this movie, I was reminded of watching movies in the late 90s, early 2000s, these pre-Marvel films where you could have a singular story. It didn't have to have an overarching, storyline. You didn't have to see the previous 9 movies to understand what the hell is going on. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. It could have set up for a sequel. There might be a sequel, but it doesn't necessarily need a sequel. I was cheering. I was legitimately laughing. These Marvel movies have these comedic moments, but they're kind of like
the
cheesy,
setup,
corny
insert joke here now.
Yeah, but with this, I was legitimately laughing. There's one scene in particular where a dude helps there's like a crew of men and women that have to stop an evil witch. It's a typical sword and sorcery sort of story, but Chris Pine's in it. He's so charismatic. The whole crew I'm enjoying. Actually, one of the guys from Jurassic Park is in it, Jurassic World rather, and I hated the character. The guy who screams constantly in the second one, the black kid?
With the glasses.
Yeah, and I hated him in that
T-Rex?
movie. But he's so good in this movie. So it just goes to show you, just because you're bad in one thing, it's not his fault. The character was written horribly. The direction was not good in that movie. But when he has something to work with, he's very charming. He's good. But there's one scene in this movie where they get help from this one dude, and he starts walking away after he helps them. And Chris Pine's like admiring the way he's walking. He's like, oh, he's walking so straight. This is amazing. I've never seen anything like that. Oh, there's a rock in front of them. What's he going to do? Is he going to walk around the rock? Nope. He's walking right over it. He's like narrating this guy walking away, and I'm laughing my ass off. It's legitimately funny. You're rooting for these characters. And the action sequences are fun. It's not John Wick levels of action sequences, but it reminded me of movies like The Mummy or even Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, where you're just having fun. And I just wish more people would see movies like this. It is getting great reviews from the critics. It's getting great reviews from the audience. I think both over 90% at this point. It seems that word of mouth is going to make this movie actually gross something competent. And I'm thinking worldwide, this is going to have more of an impact. Some of these movies don't do too well domestically, like a movie like Warcraft, for instance, or the Terminator series hasn't done really well lately in North America. But overseas, movies like Fast and Furious and Transformers, those movies kill. And I think this movie is going to be one of those movies that does really well overseas. I really hope people go see this. This is monumentally better than Ant-Man, which just came out. I'd actually have it as either the best or second best movie of the year. So check it out, Dungeons and Dragons. It's for kids of all ages. If you want to take an 8-year-old, they'll enjoy it. You take an 80-year-old, they'll enjoy it. It's just good filmmaking.
And I could be wrong, but I feel like it just came out of nowhere, too.
Yeah.
I didn't see like a trailer for it months ago. I saw it maybe a week ago, and they said the release date was like this coming weekend.
It's not marketed really well. I think the trailers don't do it justice. I was weary, looking at the trailers and the posters and all that. I was like, this looks kind of cheaply made. But as soon as I started seeing like critics that I respect giving it really good reviews, I was more intrigued. And I see everything in theaters, and this is one that definite needs to be seen in theater. Check it out on the big screen with the loud sound and all that stuff. So high recommendation. There's a lot of good movies, or rather good looking movies, coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited for that new Mario movie. I'm excited for the new Evil Dead movie. I know, Addison, you're a big horror film guy. Is there a horror franchise? I mean, I know, but what is your go-to horror franchise?
Oh, for feel good, Friday the 13th.
For feel good?
Yeah, I don't have to take it seriously. I know exactly what I'm getting. It's just Jason moping around and doing his thing.
Now, the character of Jason...
That's what I'm saying. It's basic.
I was just talking about him when I was talking about a different character. Who the hell was it? I was saying how characters like Jason, there's no... Oh, I know who it was. When I was talking about the movie The Predator, which I love... Have you seen Predator? Yeah. The character of like that, the Predator, it doesn't have a name. Let's just... he should have a name, right?
Yeah.
He'd be like Bill.
Something menacing, yeah.
Let's just call him Bill from now on. So Bill, like, he has morals. He's not going to hunt somebody. He's a hunter. It's his whole shtick is that he's going to hunt the best, fit human beings possible. He's not going to, destroy a baby. He's not going to hunt somebody in a wheelchair. He's going to go after like military men and like
Anything that's a threat.
Yeah, he's a big game hunter. Whereas a character like Jason or Michael Myers, I don't know if I like them as much because like there's no rhyme or reason. What is the reason? What is the motivation for these characters?
Well, with Jason, I feel like that's just what Mama said to do. So he doesn't really know any better. He's just like a dumb lurking pile of crap, just like slashing a machete.
Yeah,
he doesn't hurt kids really. In part 6, he walks into that cabin and just kind of like makes sure everyone's okay. He's playing counselor. In part 6.
Is there any instance of him having like a heart? I guess in Freddy vs. Jason, you're kind of rooting for him
a little bit in his dreams, but there was an unwritten script for Freddy vs. Jason where people are reasoning with Jason and they carpool with him to go get Freddy.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, thank God that didn't get made. But that was like an initial script that they had planned for that. I'm like, no.
I know they were working on something with the Evil Dead spinoff, and they were going to have Ash appear in that, which would have been fun.
That was the initial sequel.
That's something that I know a lot of horror fans would have liked. A lot of horror fans don't like Freddy vs. Jason. I love that movie.
I think it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's not to me, it's not a horror movie. It's more of just an action, have fun, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, I like mindless movies. I like movies also where you need to think and, I have to pay attention, but I also like looking at my phone every once in a while, then looking up and seeing like a naked lady like fighting Jason and getting attacked. Like it's just it's fun, mindless stuff.
And for some reason in that movie they made Jason dumber than ever. Like in Freddy vs. Jason, it's just like when he moves his head, it's like, huh?
Yeah,
like if he could make a sound, that's what he's trying to do. There's a pinball scene.
Welcome to my nightmare, bitch.
Yeah, like Robert Englund, it's his last performance as Freddy.
Which is a shit. And actually, no, he appeared in him in the Goldbergs. Yeah, which is just stupid.
But the makeup was half-assed done.
Do you think, because they haven't done a new Jason or a new Freddy movie in around a decade at this point? I know there's
a lawsuit with Friday.
Yeah, there's reasons why, the rights issues, who owns the rights, Sean Cunningham and the New Line and Paramount. It's very tricky as to who actually has the rights. I think LeBron James's film company just bought the rights to do something with Jason. What would you like to see done with this franchise? I know there's a lot of fan films out there involving Jason and like the snow, which is pretty cool.
And they're considered to be just as part of the franchise now.
Yeah. What do you think is like the next move? What do you do with this? Do you completely reboot it again? I think would be the smart thing, because as much as I love the series, there's not like, I guess there's like Tommy Jarvis, but there's like lots of, is that Friday or is
that's Friday.
That's Friday. Yeah.
But you got the Corey Feldman version, and
there's different actors that portray him. It's not like with Jamie Lee Curtis where it's just, okay, she's Laurie, and there's not one definitive version of that character Tommy in the Friday the 13th series. So I don't know what you do. Do you reboot it? Do you set it? I would personally make one and set it in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, sort of recapture that same feel of those original movies. But I think you can't make it anything different than what it is. I think those movies are what they are. They're dumb slasher movies.
That's what the fans want from it. They don't really want anything more intellectual. But what would I like to see moving forward? Well, if LeBron James Film Company bought the rights, I would like to see Jason get drafted to the Lakers. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Or his press conferences would be gold. Doesn't say anything.
Yeah. And he's like Marshawn Lynch, just next comment for every single question that says. As far as your favorite, I know we're just all over the place, but that's what the Radio Rumble is. It's just there's really no rhyme or reason as to how the show is formatted. Is there a favorite in the series for Friday the 13th? I think a lot of people like 4 and 6.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
I don't know how all of them I've seen. I've definitely seen 1. I've definitely seen 4. I've definitely seen 6.
Seen part 8? Jason Takes Manhattan.
I've seen a lot of reviews of these movies.
It's hilarious.
I know there's very little Manhattan in that movie, unfortunately.
It's Jason Takes Vancouver.
Yeah, and then like he's on a boat also, like
with
for
New
majority
York
of the
making
movie.
an appearance. Yeah, it's a weird one. That was one of the first ones I saw as a kid, so I have like a soft spot for it.
One of the first ones I saw as a kid was the next one, 9, when he goes to hell.
Oh, hell. Oh, that's the horrible one.
Yeah, I kind of liked it, though. The guy's like eating his brain or
it's
something.
It's a good movie. It just, when you throw it with Jason, it's just... fans would hate it.
The opening's really cool. Like, you see him chasing this lady, and then
but
he
she
gets
works for the feds.
Yeah, he gets surrounded and he just gets
SWAT
blown
team
up.
nukes him.
And the ending's cool too, because you see Jason get dragged to hell by Freddy's glove.
Oh, yeah.
And that's set up what would have been, but it's like a decade later, Freddy versus Jason, which I said I liked. I also do like Jason X.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It's one of the dumbest movies of all time, with the lady who's like a robot. She gets her head chopped off. There's so many stupid scenes in there, but there's also some really cool kills.
A lot of convenience, though, in that movie, too. Like when they blow him up the first time and he happens to, die on the table that regenerates him.
Yeah,
It's just, stuff like that.
But I did like the one scene where he takes the blonde-haired lady and shoves her head in like this cryogenical freezing thing and then smashes her head on a table. That might be one of the best deaths ever.
And he acts confused, too, because he just didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And he sees, what happened?
He's very, simple-minded, as you said. There's, elements of, animalistic things with him. There's a scene in King Kong, for instance, where King Kong breaks the jaw of a T-Rex, and then he's playing with the broken jaw. I see a lot of King Kong in Jason, but not as innocent, clearly, because Jason is a bad man. As far as the Freddy movies go, can you create another Freddy movie without Robert Englund? I mean, they tried.
That's hard, because he's one of the very few actors who has portrayed that icon in almost every single movie. Same with Pinhead, too, a little bit.
But I liked what they did with the latest Hellraiser. I don't know if you saw that one.
Oh, the one with the chick playing Pinhead?
Yeah. I didn't see it. I thought it was pretty good. I think it's on Hulu. It was like a Hulu exclusive. I thought that one was good. They've tried to reboot some of these movies. Some of them are good. I thought The Candyman was all right. Chucky, I thought, was decent for what it was. It wasn't really a Chucky movie, but I thought it was decent for what it was. But there's no original ideas in Hollywood. I've said this before. I'll say it a million times. I'm part of the reason as to why these movies can't be made, because I see everything. I'm not part of the solution. If I was part of the solution, I'd boycott all these movies, but I've seen every Marvel movie in theaters. I'll watch the new Transformers in theaters. I'll watch the new Ninja Turtles in theaters, but it's really sad state of creativity. When you go to the theater, I was just walking around the theater yesterday, and I was looking at all the movie posters, and I was wondering, am I in 1989? Or am I in 2023? I see an Indiana Jones poster. I see Michael Keaton as Batman. I see a Ninja Turtles poster. I see a Little Mermaid poster. It is insane that there is nothing new in Hollywood. Yeah. And it's because nobody wants to see anything new. And again, I'm not saying I'm part of the solution, because I also am trapped in the past, and I love watching these old franchises get rebrought. But it also, on one hand, it's cool to see Indiana Jones back, but on the other hand, it's why can't we have a new action hero? Why can't there be something for today's modern audiences to be okay, this is my generation. This isn't my parents' stuff. This isn't my grandparents' thing that's being shoved down my throat. It's not a new Star Wars or a new Marvel thing. This is just something new. And we sort of got that with Dungeons and Dragons, even though it's based on a game from the 70s. But it is new characters and something brand new, not based on an existing storyline. And I just hope people pretty much just go to the theaters and see it. But we did talk about Freddy vs. Jason. Did you know that Rey Mysterio Jr. is in that movie?
He is?
Yeah, he's a stuntman for Freddy.
Oh, it's when Freddy gets thrown, right?
Yep. So that's a good segue. We're gonna come back. And we're going to talk some pro wrestling. I have a lot of topics. Addison also has, what do you got there? A bunch of programs from meetings you've been to?
You told me we could take pictures for social, so I figured I'd bring half my own batch. I got the video games and the video games.
So, actually, let's start with the video games. We'll come back. We're going to be talking a lot today, so just be warned on that. We'll come back and we'll talk about video games with pro wrestling, because they kind of go hand in hand. I want to discuss some of the favorite video games, maybe why these modern video games aren't good as far as video games based on wrestling goes. But before we get to that, let's play... What's that band I want to play? Come on, get in my head and think of what I was thinking. It's an all-girl band from the 80s, the Go-Go's, are what they call. Do we have any Go-Go's? Come on, the Go-Go's. I'm just going to write the name of the song. See how prepared we are? Our lips are sealed. Do we have the? Yeah, here we go. Go-Go's, 90.3 WHPC.